Hello, and welcome to another episode of this podcast. As you know, we are in the middle of this fantastic series that we are doing on the ancient Indian epic, the Ramayana. And in the previous two episodes, I told you the story until Ram goes into the exile and how people back in the kingdom, in the Ayodhya city, they are saddened by the events that have unfolded. In case you haven't uh, listened to these episodes, I would suggest you to do that, the previous two episodes, and this is the third one in the series. So far, what we know is Ram has gone into the exile. His stepbrother, Bharat, who is supposed to be the next king, he comes running to the forest and he wants to meet Ram. He wants to see him. And he also pleads Ram to come back to the city and become the ruler. But Ram is adamant. He says that I cannot really go back. I've made a promise to my father, and this is how it is going to be. Still, his stepbrother, Bharat, is very much adamant. He insists that if Rama is not going to go back, then he also won't go back and he would also stay in the forest. But then Rama insists that Bharata is supposed to do his duty, which is to now rule the kingdom. And Rama is doing his duty, which is to fulfill his promise that he made to his father. And when Bharata still hesitates, they come up with an idea. So they say that let's assume that Rama is going to be the king, but meanwhile, when he is in the exile, what Bharata would do is he would act as his deputy. He would act as sort of incumbent ruler for the time being, and then once Rama comes back, he would start ruling the kingdom. And that's the kind of arrangement they make, and everybody is happy. Notice that it was Bharata's mother who had hatched this kind of plan, that where she had sent Rama for the exile and made her son the king. But it was her own son, Bharata, who was not really happy with it. In fact, a lot of people, Lakshman or Rama's mother, they were clearly upset with Bharata's mother. But there's something profound that we learn in this story, and that is portrayed through the character of Ram. And it is that he does not really hate his stepmother. He does not say anything bad, does not have those negative feelings towards her. And that's the kind of personality that's been shown to us. Really positive and sort of an ideal character, something people should aspire to be. So in fact, when he sees his brothers, they have those negative feelings towards Bharata's mother, he tells them to not do that. And one should respect people, one should do their duties, and that's all. That's the kind of lessons that we learn here. Now, coming back to their exile and the forest, they keep traveling in different parts of the forest, different states they travel. It's mostly in the mainland India, in the central India, that we find that this story is taking place. So they travel and they live in different places. They live like monks. They build their huts in different places. And they really live the life of ascetics. So somehow a lot of years, in fact 10 to be precise, they go by. And not really much happens during this part, except that we learn about their travels and what's going on there. Now, after that period, there is something interesting that happens, especially when they move to a place called Panchvati. And in this episode, a few new characters get introduced, which are going to shape the main part of the story. First of all, we learn about this magical creature, sort of mythological creature. It's a it's a an eagle called Jatayu who comes to Rama and Lakshmana, and he says that I want to be with you, I want to serve you. And at first they become apprehensive, but later they find out that the creature is really friendly, and then the creature moves with them and stays with them. Jatayu, that is. Similarly, another character that comes in this episode is Shrupnakha, and she is the sister of King Ravana. Now, Ravana is the king of Sri Lanka, Lanka that is. In modern times, we call it Sri Lanka, and primarily, as you would know, he is the key villain in the story of Ramayana. So she is the sister of Ravana. Now, she is generally told to be quite an ugly and scary kind of a woman, but she has these magical powers that she can transform into different forms of beauty, and she can appear at times beautiful. So what happens is, when she comes to Panchavati and she sees these two guys, Ram and Lakshman, and especially when she sees Ram, she gets attracted towards him. But of course there's Sita, who's Rama's wife, so she doesn't have much of a chance, but still she tries. She approaches Ram and tells him that she's in love with him. In fact, she requests him to marry her. She goes on to say that Sita is not really worthy of a wife, she is more of a midget, and he should rather marry her. She also introduces herself as the sister of the great King Ravana, and she tells him that there are other brothers. She has Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana, who are also great warriors, and then there are other brothers, Khara and Dushana, who are the kings of this particular region where they are at right now. So she kind of boasts about her identity and tells Rama that who she is and he should be with her. But Rama is not really impressed, he is not amused. What he does is he kind of plays with her. He tells her that he's married, he has his wife with him, he's not really into it, he cannot afford to do that. So what she should do, according to him, is go to Lakshmana and ask him for marriage. Now she listens to him and looks at Lakshmana. She thinks he's not too bad either. So she approaches Lakshmana and she says that you should come with me, you should marry me. The same things that she has said to Rama. But Lakshmana is not interested either. He kind of plays again. He says that, you're making a mistake. Like, look at me. I am really a slave to my brother. What am I? I'm nothing. He's going to be the king. He's the real man. And in fact, you should go to him. What if, he already has a wife? So what's the big deal? He can have a second wife and that shouldn't be a problem. So they really kind of go back and forth in this conversation, and eventually what happens is Shrupnakha, Ravana's sister, she gets really angry, and when she sees Sita, she really wants to kill that woman. And in that anger, she attacks Sita. Now, Rama tells Lakshman that he should protect Sita and, do something about it. So Lakshmana, he now attacks Shrupnakha and she gets injured. So now it becomes an issue. She goes back to the kings of the region. Those were her brothers as well, Khara and Dushana. And she tells them her story, that what these guys are doing, Rama and Lakshmana. And the brothers get angry, they prepare their generals, they prepare their soldiers, and then they attack these gentlemen in the forest. Interestingly, what happens is Rama and Lakshmana, who are really fierce warriors, they fight off these soldiers and generals very easily. In fact, they annihilate these soldiers. And in some versions, we find that this is because of some magical powers they have. Because obviously, Rama is the embodiment and he's the incarnation of Vishnu. And in some versions, we find that the explanation is something like, suppose there are wild animals that are trying to attack a cow and its calves. So in that case, a cow is going to fight off because she's going to protect her kids. And similarly, in this case, because of love, because of trying to protect his family, Rama and Lakshmana, they are able to fight off all these warriors, all these soldiers. So love can move the mountains. That's the kind of message we get. And as I said, in other versions or in many modern versions where Rama is worshipped as God, what we see is more about the magical powers that they have. So eventually, when these people, they cannot deal with Ram and Lakshmana, so what Shubnakha does is she goes back to Lanka where her brother Ravana is staying, and she tells him the entire story. He also learns about the powers and the greatness of Rama, and he gets really furious. He doesn't know quite what to do. But one thing he knows is he has to take his revenge. Another interesting thing that I should mention at this point is that when you hear Ramayana story, or when you see it on the pictures in the plays that people enact, you'll always find Ravana with 10 heads. And that's quite symbolic in many ways. Although a lot of people believe in this literal manifestation that Ravana actually had these 10 heads, some people also suggest that it's more of a metaphorical idea. That is to say that he had the wisdom of 10 men. And some also assert that he also had the might of 10 men. So he had not just 10 heads, he also had 20 arms. So that's the kind of depiction that you will always find in the popular cultures. Let's say when you see the celebrations of Dashera or Diwali, you'll always find Ravana portrayed as 10-headed king. Now coming back to the story, Ravana obviously is furious and he wants to take his revenge. At the same time, what he learns from his sister Shubnakha is that Rama's wife, she's very beautiful. And Ravana, when he hears those descriptions, he kind of get fascinated by that. Also, these counselors and his sister herself, they suggest to him that there is no way directly if he goes on to war with Rama, then he is going to win. So better would be if they abduct somehow Sita, and once that happens, Rama would go weak, and in that kind of situation, it would be easier to defeat Rama. So that's the kind of arrangement or plan they come up with, that Ravana is going to go and abduct Sita and bring her to Lanka. Now for that, he also makes an interesting arrangement. He takes help of his friend or ally called Marich. And Marich was somebody who could change forms, could become something else. So they go into they travel first of all, Ravana, to the Panchavati, and along with Marich, the plan is that Marich transforms into a very attractive deer, and it's more like a golden deer, and he's just roaming around outside the ashrama where Sita lives. And when Sita sees it, she gets fascinated and she really wants it. And she goes to Rama and tells him that I want that deer. Please bring that to me. Please catch it. And this is something we learn about. Here we learn about the dangers of desire. That we are fooled by our senses and we give in to our desires. And then tragic things can happen to us. So these are the things that Rama and Lakshman try to tell her. But she doesn't listen and she tells Rama to just go. So Rama says, okay, I'll go, but Lakshman will stay back with you and protect you just in case, there is any danger. So Lakshman stays back with Sita and Rama goes to chase Marich. And Marich, the deer now, it's going around and around everywhere and it's difficult to catch. At some point, Rama identifies its location and then shoots it with the arrow. And the precision is such that, it hits exactly where he is intending. And he's about to die. But just then, when he's about to die, he utters a loud cry and he says, "Oh, Lakshman, oh, Sita, I'm dying. Save me." And he says that, screams that in Rama's voice because he could imitate anybody. And when Sita and Lakshman hear this voice, they immediately know that Rama is in danger. And therefore Sita requests Lakshman to just go and help Ram just in case he is in danger now. But Lakshman says that I need to be here. I need to be protecting you. But then Sita says that there's no point in it. What are you doing? You're just blindly following those instructions when the common sense suggests that clearly Rama is in danger and you should go and help him. Eventually he gives in to her demands and he goes to see where Rama is. And during that time, Ravana, who's now disguised as a sage, a rishi, he comes to their hut and he comes and starts talking to Sita. And the moment he looks at her, he knows she's the one, she's the beautiful woman, and he's also in love with her. And then eventually he forces his way and he's successful in abducting her, and now he's carrying her to Lanka. And what is being told here that he's flying on his chariot or on his Vimana, and he's going now from here to Lanka. Now Jatayu was also there, who was supposed to help Sita. So Jatayu, the eagle, immediately starts chasing Ravana. In fact, talks to him, pleads him that you should not do this. The consequences are going to be very bad. And you don't know, Rama, what he's going to do. But Ravana does not listen, and eventually the two start fighting in the skies. And what happens is, when Ravana attacks Jatayu, he slaughters it and cuts it into pieces. And Jatayu falls down and dies. And so now there is no protection and Ravana has his way. Now he can safely carry Sita to the country of Lanka where he lives. And that's where we pause at this story, and we'll continue tomorrow in the next episode. And don't forget to follow and subscribe if you want to continue this story. And some of you also asked me that which version of this Ramayana I am telling in these episodes. So I'm narrating you Valmiki's version of the story, but in between there are different versions. and I tell you where if there are different versions and they're telling different ideas, I keep mentioning them, but more or less I'm talking about the Valmiki's version, the oldest version of Ramayana, and for that I'm taking help of C. Rajagopalachari's version, the translation that he has done of Ramayana. So that is the abridged, simple version of it, but more or less it covers the basic ideas, the basic storyline of Ramayana. But otherwise, as I said, if there are certain discrepancies in different versions, I am going to mention them. So keep listening and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.